Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. After my last episode with Michele Forbes, I wanted to do a little research and really dig into some of the topics that we talked about, specifically how discrimination affects women physically. Michele and I talked about a lot of things. We talked about dealing with microaggressions in high leadership positions in the workplace, and even when you're not in high leadership positions, just dealing with microaggressions. And I think, and I've experienced that feeling of loneliness, that feeling of, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I can do. Because when they're microaggressions, who do you tell? It's not like somebody just blatantly came out and called you the N-word or attempted some blatant form of discrimination against you. They're more subtle things. But with those types of things that happen to us in the workplace, it causes a tremendous amount of stress on our bodies. And I know it's happened to me. I spoke about my chest pains that I've had for many years, actually since college. And I've had every test run on me only to find out that when I get stressed, I get chest pains. When I think I'm not stressed, when I think I'm good, when I think I'm handling it and I'm not, and it's still bothering me, I get like little achy sensation in my chest, which is scary because it's in my chest, it's on the left side. So this has always been something that I've dealt with when I'm, trying to manage my stress or thinking I'm managing my stress, and maybe I'm not doing such a great job. Aside from getting a therapist and all of the things that we all should do or think about, I wanted to bring this conversation more to light because Michele too also shared that she had experienced migraines. She had experienced shortness of breath. She mentioned panic attacks. These are all very common, and I want to share with you some research that substantiates what we were talking about because I know we're not the only Black women who deal with this kind of stuff, okay? So let me read from my phone. I got some notes here, okay? First thing I found, Healthline and the American Heart Association did a research study in 2024, and they found that 50% of Black women have heart disease caused by discrimination stress. So I'm like, what's discrimination stress? I didn't even know such a thing existed, but it actually does. So let me give you the definition. Discrimination stress is the chronic stress your body experiences from being treated unfairly because of your race and gender. It's not just workplace stress. It's the specific stress that comes from racism and sexism. So types of discrimination stress are those microaggressions that Michele and I were talking about. So, being passed up for promotions, being told that you're not performing well. Michelle's boss at that one job she had said she was doing nothing right when she had another supervisor in that same role who was totally happy with her work performance. Being called aggressive, and you're just being you. Right? So constantly having to be on guard, constantly having to be holding yourself at a different level, it's tense, it's stress, it's stressful to not be able to relax ever, never. We can't relax because if we do this, we're angry. If we say that, we're aggressive. If somebody says something to us that's sideways, it's overreaction. It's not to be believed. Okay, so microaggressions is one. Also, a type of discrimination stress is this systematic and institutionalized behavior that, is part of the workplace culture. So, for example, like I said, being passed up for promotions despite qualifications, receiving harsher performance reviews than white counterparts. We've talked about this. I've talked about it. If you haven't seen my interview with Monique McKinney, I believe it was episode 3, where we talked about performance reviews and how we are treated more harshly. That was a good episode. You should definitely go check it out. Being the only Black person in leadership positions and meetings. Now, Black women are doing it better than anybody right now. We are more educated. We are getting the jobs. We are doing the things. So we are finding ourselves in leadership positions and the only ones in these meetings. That is stressful. I've been there. That is stressful. And if that is you, I'm curious, how do you feel about it, right? What has been said to you? And regardless of the fact that you are in these positions, people will still try you. Stressful. It's discrimination stress. Daily vigilance stress is another one. So the constant code switching, feeling like you can't fully relax in your environment. You've got to have on your work face. You can't say certain things. You're constantly monitoring how you're being perceived. Yeah. So, and then having the weight of having to represent all Black women on your shoulders is a pretty tough position to be in sometimes. I've been in situations when I was working where I remember, I worked in advertising, and for part of that time at that agency, I worked in the urban subsidiary. But for part of that time, I did not. And I just remember this guy coming to me, a guy that I knew to have a problem with Black people, a guy I knew to have a problem with Black people. He was still using the word colored, young guy at the time, my same age. And after the commercial was fully planned, concepted, and produced, they come to you and use you, not during the project, because, in advertising agencies, that's billable time. It's like a lawyer or an accountant. They're billing you for their time. So you have to have billable hours. So they don't want to include me on the project because that's just not what they would do. But they want to ask me when they've been out to LA or where in the world ever they shot this, directed it, the whole nine, if it was racially offensive, And that kind of pressure is kind of like, really, I don't know if I felt like so much pressure in the moment, but that was one of those times it's like, so you guys are going to ask me at the, 11th hour, if this is offensive. It's already shot, it's produced, it's done. And what if I say yes? So yeah, just that kind of silly shit would happen all the time. And I'm sure some silly shit has happened to you at your job. But let me move on to point 2 now. Oh, let me go back. Why is discrimination stress different than regular stress? Because it's chronic. It happens daily. It's not just at busy times. It's not like I have this thing and I'm pushing, and it's so stressful right now. This is us being on all the time, having to peep the situations, having to always say the right thing, having to watch our words at all times. We can't slip. It's chronic. It's unpredictable. People will just say stuff to you. You could be going along your day, having a totally fine day. Somebody will say some sideways mess to you. It affects you. Like, even if you don't say anything and you have to keep it in, that shit isn't easy. It's hard, right? It's identity based. So this discrimination stress is so infuriating and stressful because it's about who you are. It's not about what you do. And who you are, meaning the color of your skin or your sex, nothing that you can control. It doesn't matter how good of a job you're doing, right? And finally, it's cumulative. So it builds up over time and the pressure lays on and it just builds up in you and eventually you're going to burst or something bad can happen when we build that kind of stress in our body. So new term for me, I didn't even know about discrimination stress. So I found out about it. So obviously this impacts your body. It impacts your health. It's not good. My next point, 69% of Black women know this workplace discrimination is damaging their health. Now, in the podcast the other day when I was talking to Michele, she was trying to remember the terminology for how she was feeling on Sundays. Friday comes, you're like, TGIF, it's Friday. Saturday's great. Sunday comes, maybe the morning is cool, but midday to later in the evening, you're like, damn, you start thinking about the fact that you got to go back into this workplace where these people are being themselves and you are on edge and all this kind of stuff all the time. Okay, this is a real thing. Like, this isn't just a Black thing either. It's called the Sunday Scaries, okay? And let me tell you what it is. The Sunday Scaries is the anxiety or dread and physical symptoms you feel on Sunday evening or night, knowing you have to go back to work on Monday. Symptoms include stomach knots, restlessness, difficulty sleeping Sunday night, headaches, chest tightness, loss of appetite. Exactly what Michele and I were talking about. She gets migraines. I get chest pains. This is how stress can manifest in your body. So what's different for Black women, and I just want to say 75% of all workers get this Sunday Scaries. It's also called the Sunday night blues, okay? What's different for Black women is that For most people, Sunday scaries are about workload or Monday morning meetings, right? Maybe you aren't prepared for that. But for Black women, Sunday scaries are about prepping ourselves for battle, prepping ourselves to deal with the discrimination, the microaggressions, all of the things. So it's different for Black women. So that was really interesting. I didn't know there was a name for it. I just know that I used to feel that as well, right? Next, this is a little interesting and this is understandable, but there was a little research study done at the end of COVID. Mindshare Partners published this in 2024, but I believe the research was done in 2021. During the pandemic, only 3% of Black employees wanted to return to the office compared to 21% of white employees. Why? Well, we know why, because it's harder for Black people in the office space than it is for white people because of all of the things I've just mentioned. Interesting stat. Anywho, guys, I just wanted to share this information with you. We're gonna keep talking about this because the physical toll, this kind of stress and these sorts of things that happen to us are taking on our body is not okay. And we need to learn to identify what it is, be honest about what it is, get help. And even in my effort to create this community where you have a safe haven, a place where you can come and talk to people who are going through the same thing. I wish I would have had that back when I was in these corporate spaces, just period. I never did. So these things happen to you. You don't have anybody to talk to. You feel alone. That's stressful enough in itself, right? So we're going to talk about these things more. And next week on Coffee No Cream, I'm going to bring back Karen Donaldson. She's going to join us again. She is the corporate coach, confidence coach, amazing, 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 and has helped tons of women and even men help when it comes to advocating for themselves at work, how to go about it, how to deal with these situations in the workspace. She's an expert at this. This is what she gets paid for, right? So I've heard some of the comments, I've seen some of the conversations going on, and I want to make sure that I am providing guests that can help give solutions to how we deal with this stuff and, get our minds right. Yeah, we should be doing certain things on our own, but it's got to start somewhere. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this information and I'll see you then.